Mid-State meeting to order tonight. Roll call, please.
Robert Beaver.
Here.
Betty Brusky Mallett. Kristen Kraft. Here. Craig Grobach.
Here.
Justin Herder.
Here.
Richard Merton.
Here.
Linnea Miller.
Here.
Gordon Shallow. Charles Spargo.
Here.
Open meeting certification this October 21st, 2019. Meeting of the Mid-State Technical College Board, District Board of Directors, and all other meetings of the board and/or its committees is open to the public in compliance with state statutes. Notice of this meeting has been sent to news media and designated persons in an attempt to make the citizens of the Mid-State Technical College District aware of the place, time, and agenda of the meeting. The open forum is adoption of the board chairperson, and ground rules have been established to ensure the orderly conduct of business. This is a meeting of the district board open to the public and not a public hearing. Excuse me. Persons who wish to address the district board may make a statement as long as it pertains to a specific agenda item. Individuals should not expect to engage in discussion with members of the district board. The district board chairperson may or may not respond to statements made. Do you have anyone that wants to address the board? If not, I won't read the ground rules. Minutes of the September 16th, 2019 board meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
There's a second. Motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda.
The Finance Committee reviewed the consent agenda items with the VP of Finance, Rob Fish. All our questions were answered, and we'd recommend approval of all the consent agenda items. Make that as a motion.
Second
Any discussion? Roll call. Yes.
Kristen Kraft.
Yes.
Craig Grobach.
Yes.
Justin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Merton.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Chairperson's report. Welcome everybody to the meeting. Betty and Gordon have asked to be excused tonight. The Fall Boards Association meeting is coming up October 30th through November 2nd in Waukesha. This is also when they have the legal seminar. A lot of staff members will be there from the different colleges. I'm going to go, Betty's going, Linnea's going, Chris is going, Shelley. I think, Craig, you on that list too?
I might be.
Okay. I thought I saw you were going. Fall Board Advance will be November 21st in 8:30 here in this room, right, Angie?
Correct.
Draft agenda is your seat for review. Any feedback is appreciated. Now, if anybody wants to get rid of the icebreaker, that'd be fine with the,
We're gonna have a special one.
yeah. ACCT Leadership Congress, Rick, Linnea, Bobby, and Mandy attended. Would anybody like to comment on the sessions?
Well, Rick sent out a nice summary.
Yeah, he did.
That-
Well,
I
a
appreciate that.
couple of sessions that I was at.
Yep.
I attended a couple of good ones, one on the development of relations between the communication and trust of the board and the presidents, and risk oversight responsibility, and also using data to assess mission fulfillment. And then we also supported the Wisconsin people that were doing presentations, but I'll make some notes here, and we'll either talk about it at the retreat or in an email like Rick did.
Okay. Bobby?
Same thing,
And-
dive into some operational sessions. I think my aha was, we're right on the right track. The presentations that were being given, we were either ahead of the game or right there with some of the things that I had heard, so.
Yeah,
Mandy?
Same thing, so a lot of the student success focus on, like dual credit, career pathways, and then a lot, on financial aid and the financial wellness of students.
One of the things we pushed at the federal level last year, on the Second Chance Pell, the panel, some of the data that they had was really surprising that of the inmates, if the inmates got their GED, their recidivism went down 30%. If they got an associate's degree, it went down 50%. If they got a bachelor's degree, it went down 100%. So
Really?
Nobody had gotten a bachelor's degree had come back.
Wow.
So
Yeah, no, that is a wow. It's a big wow, yeah. Anything else? Future meeting dates, March 16th, we meet in Adams. Next month is November 18th, excuse me. That's at Marshfield. All committee meetings will be in at 4:15 unless otherwise announced. Committee meeting the whole at 5 and the regular board meeting at 5:20. Anything else? Otherwise, I think Jill Steckbauer's up
Yeah.
with liaison report.
Yeah, actually, we have no report tonight.
No report tonight, okay? President's report.
Yes. So, since our last board meeting, we've had a number of exciting events on our campuses. So the first one is October 1st, and I think we have some pictures. We had our ribbon cutting for our Adams campus, which was called the Adams County Center. And it was really a great day. Of all the pictures you picked, gosh, look at that. We had a good group though, and Lori Inda and the team did a fabulous job of putting the day together. Thank you to Chuck and his wife Janet for coming, along with Margot Bob's wife. And we had K through 12 and continuing education and the foundation, and student life was represented. And when we were scheduled to give our brief remarks, you may recall, you may not, it was a rainy day. But yet, when it was time to do our 2 o'clock remarks, give or take, it stopped raining for just a short time. So it was really good. And the community came out. I did not count the number of people that were there, but it was definitely between 50 and 100 people. And I think it was just really well received. I don't know, Chuck, if you wanted to add
It
anything
was
to it.
great.
But
A lot of tables with
Yes.
people having demonstration of
different
things.
interaction.
Yep.
Our paramedic
Good.
students were there, and it was just well received, very much. And I know Lori's off to a great start again. I know they're seeing increase once again. Second picture I think we have is last week we had a special celebration at our Stevens Point campus because we are celebrating our 5-year presence at our downtown campus. And pretty remarkable. You can see the room is full. We had Justin there, thank you. We had the mayor. We had Katrina Shankland there. We do have some proclamations that I wanted to show you. So we did have the city of Stevens Point has declared November to be Mid-State Month. So you are definitely going to be seeing things. We have a campaign all year around our downtown campus. But then also, this is very impressive, we have 2 proclamations, one from the governor's office and also one from Senator Teston and Representative Katrina. Again, just saying congratulations to Mid-State on our 5-year anniversary of our downtown campus. So, Justin, any remarks? Just a great day.
It was really nice, yeah, there was a very good turnout in the room, and, yeah, it was fun, and I was glad I could come over there.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. It's always nice for the staff to see board members if your schedule allows you to be able to come. So just thank you, it was. I mean, I think we're so excited. One of the things that we talked about during the proclamation is that we have, since 2014, that is when we opened the doors there, we have offered 2,765 classes out of our Stevens Point campus. And so it's just when you really kind of sit back and think about that, you definitely were making a difference in that area. So it was a good day. And I'm trying to think, was it rainy last Tuesday? I don't know if it was, but it seems like when we have our events, the rain kind of comes. And then last week, we have another picture for you. And I believe they talked about this in the committee, but we were asked to host the WHEEL State Conference. And WHEEL stands for Wisconsin Women in Higher Education Leadership. And we had about 100 people here. Need to give a kudos to Missy, our Dean of Business and Technology. I don't believe she's here with us, but she really chaired the event on our Mid-State campus. And during the evening reception, they give awards. And they awarded Mid-State as the chapter of the year for the state of Wisconsin. So this is against the UWs, this is against the technical colleges, this is against the private colleges. So pretty impressive. So we got the Mid-State ladies that were there for the evening reception together and took a picture. And need to show on the upper left corner, the wheel. That was our manufacturing and our welding faculty got together, and they made that for our stage. Is that impressive or what? People were, this is something we donated to Wheel, and it will be able to travel wherever the next conference is, which I think next year the state conference will be at UW Parkside. They always go to a technical college, a university, and then a private college. And then down below, it is not wine in our glasses. I want you to know that. It is just soda or coffee. But we had the pleasure, Missy had arranged our chef, Paul Kennedy, from our hospitality management program to make some of the board of directors of Wheel a really nice supper. And he made tenderloin for these ladies. And so we had Mount Mary University, their president. We did have UW Parkside's president. I mean, it's really a great, great event. So just honored to be able to host, but then to see our staff get the award, this is really to all of them. So just kudos to the staff. So Bob, I'll give that to you. All these presents tonight. And then the last thing is on October 9th, I did participate in our president's Whistline call. It was a touch point meeting. We talked about continued conversations around transfer with the UW and continuing to meet with them to talk about that, which we did have a meeting on September 17th. We'll continue to pursue that conversation. And then talked about the planning for the upcoming district boards meeting in conjunction with the legal conference that is next week. So just a short couple-hour meeting. So that would end my president's report, Bob.
Okay. Next would be finance and infrastructure with Chuck.
Okay, we've already gone over the consent agenda items. We did our meeting certification, call to order, approved the minutes from last month's meeting, did the consent agenda items, and then got into the treasurer's report. So we'll start on page 22 with the budget modifications made in the month of September, all grant related, amounting to $47,434 in revenue change and $47,178 in expense change, so a small positive adjustment to the fund balance. It gives me confidence, and I'm sure it does you all too, to see an organization with, what, a $50 million, $60 million budget showing adjustments of $7. You know our accounting folks are on top of things when they're doing a $7 adjustment. It's like our household budgets, if we were doing an annual budget and we were worried about accounting for a penny. They're keeping track of the details for us. Appreciate that. Next, page 23 shows the budgeted revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund equity. Shows the current budget for the year with the prior pages budget adjustments reflected in there. And I think I pointed out last month that down at the changes in fund equity line, the actual fund equity as of 6/30/19 has been changing lately as the audit progresses. I'm guessing these numbers are getting closer and closer to the actual now, but with the with the audit not complete, there could still be some changes. And it's showing we're right on track with what was reported earlier in the year, where we're gonna end up about $250,000 under budget where we were thinking we would be. We're still using fund balance, but $250,000 less than we were anticipating when the budget was created better than a year ago. The next page, 24, shows the year-to-date current actuals with the changes that took place with the month of September. We're 1/4 of the way through the fiscal year. We've received about 20% or recognized 20% of our revenue. That's a little bit lumpier than others because we get a big chunk of revenue in February. Expenditures are right on track. We're 1/4 of the way through the year and we're at 25% of the expenditures. And Rob made a point of indicating that current expenditures in Fund 1, 1,470,000, that's what we have most control over. The rest is not so controllable. We have control over the current expenditures, and that's almost exactly 25% of the expenditures made, so we're right on track for the year-end budget at this rate, and maybe a little bit to the positive, considering some expenditures are lumpy and have already been made for the whole year, like for insurance. You'll note down in the changes in fund equity section that we've received the $5 million from the bond issue. So things are looking good from the cash perspective, which shows up on the next page, page 25, the balance sheet. We've got cash balance between cash and investments of 20.7 million, which is 73% of the maximum monthly balance. And we saw a bump from last month because of the $5 million bond revenue receipted. Any questions on the Treasurer's report before continuing? Okay, the next item on our agenda was the 2018-2019 budget amendments, which are in Exhibit O in our board packet. I noticed on there that capital projects instruction has an item $1.2 million roughly. And that caught me by surprise because we didn't have any monthly adjustments totaling up to 1.2 million during the year. So I asked Rob about that, and he said, we didn't spend any extra money. It's just the auditors saw that this is related to the Connected Experience, and you recall we made a significant investment, but they're granting us interest-free money. And that gets tricky in terms of how to book that. So the auditors asked for a change and said, that's really a capital item. It should be listed as capital. So the money just changed from operating type to capital essentially. So it shows up in the budget amendments. So everything looked fine to our committee with Rob's explanation, and we would recommend approval of this, and I would put that in the form of a motion to approve the budget amendments as shown in Exhibit O.
Is there a second? Excuse me, a motion is second. Any comments, questions? If not, roll call.
Robert Beaver.
Yes.
Kristen Kraft.
Yes.
Craig Grilla.
Yes.
Justin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Burden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Carl Spargo.
Yes. Okay, the next item on our agenda was the certification of the 2019-2020 tax levy in Exhibit P. There's a lot of information being provided here, but the bottom line is that the property values in our district increased. So the amount that is going to be received that can be used for operational expenditures went up by 1.7%. We're looking at $13,363,678 for the property tax levy for fiscal 2019-2020. And that's comprised of both the capital budget and the operating budget, both those together. We had no further questions on that. Would recommend approval, and I'll put that in the form of a motion to approve the certification levy resolution as shown in Exhibit P.
There's a second, motion is second. Any questions? If not, roll call.
Robert Beaver.
Yes.
Kristen Kraft.
Yes.
Craig Grilla.
Yes.
Justin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Burden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Carl Spargo.
Yes. The last action item that we had was the annual procurement report presented by Matt Schneider. You have a copy of that, I believe, in blue at your place. There are 6 vendors that over the fiscal year 2019, the aggregate of all the work we did with them exceeded $50,000. So we need to approve as a board the fact that in aggregate, all those purchase orders, those commitments went over $50,000. No one of those purchases was greater than $50,000, which would require going out to bid, but in aggregate, all of them with each vendor added to more than $50,000, requiring it to be on this and appear for board action before being sent to the WTCS. So I would make a motion that we approve the annual procurement report.
Second, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor by signify by, roll call vote.
Robert Weaver,
Yes.
Kristen Kraft,
Yes.
Craig Grilla,
Yes.
Justin Herder,
Yes.
Richard Burton,
Yes.
Linnea Miller,
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes. One more informational item that we had on our agenda, and that was just got an update from Rob on the financial audit. It's progressing well. No material audit findings have been identified to date, and they don't anticipate any. Schenck, which is now Clifton Larson Allen, will be making a presentation of the completed audit at our November meeting next month. There were no finance implications of topics from other committees, so that ended our meeting and resulted in adjournment. Any other things that I should bring up, Rob?
No, I think you covered it very well, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our report.
Thank you. Academic Student Services, Craig?
Yes, we have one action item and a couple informational items. The first is a request for international travel to Osaka and Kyoto, Japan, over spring break, March 20th through March 30th. There are 12 students that will be attending and 2 staff members, John Steele, social studies instructor, as well as Suzanne Rather, Dean of General Education. There are, the cost is $2,500 for students as well as staff. The staff funding would come out of professional development, the college professional development budget. It would be a 1-credit course in global cultural experience. So therefore, I would move that we approve international travel to Japan for 2 instructors.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Robert Weaver,
Yes.
Kristen Kraft.
Yes.
Craig Grilla,
Yes.
Justin Herder,
Yes.
Richard Burton,
Yes.
Linnea Miller,
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Informational items, Dr. Stenzel reviewed the process of that Midstate was involved with this summer as it relates to a program review. Specifically, it was looking at pulling data as it relates to a number of issues and then creating an action plan tied into the 5 rights. The examples are the right program, including program headcount, FTE, and labor. Rights curriculum, including curriculum and assessment data, course completion data. Right location, including completion by location. Right modality, including completion of a mode and delivery. And right time, including course completion by full and/or part-time students, course completion, as well as retention and graduation rate. And finally, it pulled data to take a look at peoples and partners as it relates to how we're doing in relationship to advisory committee engagement, professional development, dual credit support, collaboration with K-12, as well as workforce training and continued education. In the end, the purpose is to use the data to identify trends to improve programming and improve instruction. And if there are any questions on that, you're going to have to refer to Dr. Stenzel. Graduation follow-up. Shelley, you went over some of this as it relates to the survey. We did survey. We had a 66 response rate for our 2018 grads. We found out that and as again, Shelley said, 93% were employed within 6 months. That's very similar to WTS, the average. 84% were employed in their own field of study, and I think that's very, very significant. And it's exciting to see that the median salary has gone up by 2.5%. Again, that's fairly significant. And 90% of our graduates identified that they are pleased and satisfied with their education at Midstate. So again, that's outstanding data. We held our first alternative high school event as it relates to outreach at the Wisconsin Rapids campus. It involved 70 students from Nakusa, the Nakusa Academy, Marshfield Alternative, River Cities, and Adams Friendship Alternative on September 13th. It was an opportunity for those students that are in those alternative ed programs to get on campus, tour the campus, and of course, learn more in terms of what resources are here, what potential possibility, and of course, to go through some of the potential work as it relates to enrollments, because that can be somewhat of an intimidating process. We can't do enough for students that are in alternative programs. Oftentimes, they're there for different reasons. And any resource we can provide for students that might not typically step foot at this Midstate campus is very, very significant. That, I believe, is my report.
Thank you. Human Resources and External Relations, Justin?
Yes, thank you. We had 4 informational items this evening. Dr. Karen Brzezinski first talked to us about performance management. So we had previously discussed at our meetings the process that we're undertaking to solicit feedback regarding our current performance management system. We've determined and rolled out changes for the 2019-20 year based on some of that feedback. So some of these changes would be for all employees. We've expanded the annual performance evaluation section regarding core values. This would relate back to that iCare. Remember talking about that previously? Providing a rating and feedback on each of the individual core values. So there's 5 of them. We've eliminated the core performance dimensions from the performance evaluation, and that was determined that was some redundant questioning, that the iCare performance evaluation section will cover that. Then they have changed the rating of solid, so the label of solid to be successful, to better describe the performance in that rating. And it was thought, based on some feedback, that the word solid just had a slightly negative connotation to it. And successful was a better way to label that. So for faculty, some changes. They have changed the performance dimensions to be more appropriate to faculty, and that faculty administration have both agreed on these items that they're going to be soliciting feedback on. So 4 of the old categories were technical/professional knowledge and skills, coaching, planning and organization, and then teaching standards. Then the new categories were pedagogy. Oh boy, now I'm going to say the word again.
Pedagogy.
Pedagogy, thank you. I learned a couple new words tonight. That was one of them. Learning environment, technology integration, universal design, content knowledge, curriculum development, student and program assessment, reflection and problem solving, professionalism, and community. And the faculty are all rated on all of these annually. Okay, any questions on that one? The next topic was also by Dr. Karen Brzezinski, and it was the Wisconsin Women in Higher Education Leadership, or WHEEL. And Dr. Mondyke did talk briefly about this evening as well. So just a couple other comments around that. So Midstate did host the Fall WHEEL Wisconsin Women in Higher Education Leadership Conference Wednesday and Thursday, October 9th and 10th on the Wisconsin Rapids campus. They offered attendance at this conference as a professional development opportunity to the staff. 50 staff members did attend and enjoyed the opportunity to attend a conference of this caliber, which brought in several well-known speakers. Additionally, a half-day An intensive workshop was also offered with 2 of the speakers staying over to that Friday morning on October 11th. 18 employees did take advantage of this opportunity. Many of them could not have attended the Wednesday or Thursday all-day sessions. A lot of them were faculty, just the scheduling, they couldn't attend. The employees in attendance were appreciative of the opportunity that is really available at this level. And I think part of it really was the benefit of having it here on this campus versus on the logistics of sending a large contingent somewhere else. So it's great that that was here. Okay, the next item, Dr. Bobby Damro talked with us about a DHS grant. I'm just gonna pass some paper around. I believe I already have one here. I don't want to pass these around. There it is. Midstate Technical College took the lead on writing a collaborative DHS grant focused on training medical assistants for the Marshfield Clinic Health System. This collaboration between MCHS, Midstate, CVTC, and WITC will train 36 individuals for employment over the next 2 years. Students from the three colleges apply for this program and are interviewed by MCHS. Accepted students will enter into a contract with MCHS for at least 1 year of employment after the training. The grant will pay for full tuition and fees, textbooks, uniforms, and supplies. And students will begin interviewing this fall for spring classes, and the grant total for this was $245,092. If you break that out, the value is around $6,800 for each person. So that's a full ride grant there for them. That's great. Okay. And one final item, which will be under Exhibit M in our board packets. This is workforce development contracts and proposals. So if you can see up on the top of the page there, which is the September contracted services agreements. These are all trainings that were delivered by Midstate Technical College. One thing to note on here, that 70,404, it's a little bit higher than we would typically see. This is actually reporting out about a month and a half's worth of numbers, so half of August and then the month of September. Instead of typically, they're servicing around $30,000 a month worth of training. September contracted training proposals. If you look at there are 7 items listed on there. The first 5 are all contracts that have been signed, and they're basically a done deal. We'll be going through with these. We're still waiting on the bottom 2 for $37,345. Proposals were sent for all of those, and one nice thing now is that they are able to track all of the proposals in Salesforce internally here, which is really helping keep track of that whole process of these training contracts. Is there any questions on those items? Great, that concludes my report.
Next is Committee of the Whole. Before I do that, however, I forgot during the president's portion, at your place is a proposed agenda for the board retreat. So if you have any questions, thoughts, or whatever, get hold of Shelley or Angie and let them know. Please. Sorry about that. For the Committee of the Whole, Shelley present us with the goals for the 2019-2020 dashboard. And I think they increased as I listened, I believe they increased every goal going down through there. And did I catch it right that we have had roughly, or will have roughly 17% increase in FTEs if we meet these goals
We would.
over a
right.
3-year period?
Right now, we have had a 12% increase over 2 years. And right now, where we are trending, we could have a 5% increase in head count, which could then be a 17%. But that's optimistic. We have just a 1% goal, but we are definitely trending a little higher right now than what we were expecting. So that's good news. So yes, you are absolutely correct, Bob.
On our dashboard are, under organizational effectiveness, or is where the FTEs are talked about. Then student success in terms of completion, course completion, program completion, and so forth. K-12 education, and that's getting more kids to attend Midstate. And talks about the number of dual credits that are being offered, the amount of money that's generating. And as an example, in 1819, there were 4,673 dual credits granted. That saved those kids $637,865. That's significant. And it's even proposed to be better than this current school year, coming school year. Workforce development. The past year, we had $319,300 in customized training. That goal is $350 for next year. We had $71,000 in revenues through workforce advancement training grants. That goal is $150,000 to $300,000. So, and again, hoping to increase unduplicated headcount. So those are pretty lofty goals. So let's hope that we can keep it going, right?
Absolutely.
And that completes that portion. And now we are at our discussion and action committee. And I see two people coming to inform us here,
Yes.
Mandy and Jackie.
Yeah, thank you. So at your place, at your seat is the K-12 annual report. Looking through fiscal year 19, so 2018-19 academic year. And first, I want to recognize the K-12 team. Jackie, our manager of K-12 and adult recruitment, and we have with us Whitney Escher and Morgan Anderson, who are our college outreach coordinators.
Excuse me.
That work in our high schools and have done really a great job this year. We've had another good year with some increase, some successes in certain places that we'll kind of talk about. If you open to that first page, you'll see there the team information and which schools that they work with. And we've specifically aligned them with schools. We've had that in place. This was the first year that we've had it in place now where they have been assigned specific schools and work with them. And I know that at some recent conferences, there have been some questions about CISAs. So how many CISAs do our schools or do we work with within our schools? And our school districts are in only 2 CISAs. So actually, all of them except Granton are within CISA 5, and then Granton is in CISA 10. So really just two CISAs there. So this year has really brought about some new events, some increases in some dual credit, and a new focus on engaging really K-12 and K-12 faculty and staff. And I am going to turn it over to Jackie to talk a little bit about what we've done this year.
Sure. So thank you for having me. The book in front of you kind of outlines some of the things that we do annually that are recurring every year, but a couple of notable things with events, particularly at the middle school level. New this last year, we started a partnership more focused with our Boys and Girls Club within our districts. So serving them in the summer months where we know that their enrollment is higher when we don't have our K-12s to really go to speak to students. So this summer we served about 175 students in program areas of EMS, cosmetology, criminal justice, diesel, and hospitality. So we either brought programming to them or they came on campus to tour our facilities and experience some program demonstrations in there. At the high school level, again, we do a lot of reoccurring annual events, but new this past year was our office hours at each high school. So our outreach coordinators have like a chunk of time dedicated at each high school monthly where they get to assist high school students in scholarship applications, the application process, and really just be a post-secondary resource for them. It's really helped with our partnerships and our relationships with the K-12, not only with students, but staff too. Getting into K-12 staff on page 4, we called out some annual events that we've done more recently. So this was the second year we've held our K-12 administrator breakfast, where we brought principals, superintendents to campus to kind of have a collaborative discussion on what's going on, how we can better partner. Last year was the first year we intentionally held a counselor breakfast for our K-12 partners, which really proved, had some really good return on that. Allowed us to get into scheduling our office hours a little bit more closely and work with them on their needs. We also offer professional development opportunities with dual credit annual meetings, and then some of the summer summits that came out from a grant opportunity as well. Mandy and I do visit the high schools administrators on a regular basis at each spring, so we plan to do that this year. That was kind of started last year, and again, just another touch point on a personal level where we can connect with them and see what their needs are there. Getting into more specifics by the numbers, we did see pretty much increases across the board compared to last year. We saved about $100,000 in college tuition within dual credit, saving students that college tuition. So as noted before or earlier, about $637,000 within our district. We saw increases in classes, in instructors, and in credits. Our students pretty much remained the same. You see that 2% change, not too alarming. Less than 30 students that is there too. So we have some solid numbers within dual credit. When we look to transitioning students from a dual credit perspective, we rank third within the Wisconsin Technical College system, with students coming in directly enrolling with us with dual credits. So that's at 33%. And page 6 in your report kind of calls out each school district and their percentages. Overall transition, we did stay the same at 12% compared to the previous year. But when you look at the raw numbers, we did see a student increase. So I think we're on the verge of moving the needle from a percentage basis. So that's very exciting. I'm really eager to see what this coming year's transition numbers will be. So just to note, in 2017, we saw 190 students transition to us, and then the raw numbers for this last year were 206. So that's that raw numbers moving up. 5 of our school districts are at the 15% transition or higher rate right now.
What's your perspective on Port Edwards? They're the highest. Anything particular about that high school, or?
They've had some change, I think, in their counseling offices, and then I would really attribute our relationships with our office hours, a dedicated approach to them and better serving them and what they need.
I think some of those we'll really have to watch for like a second year to see, are we going to see a trend in some of this? I think would be really good to watch for another year.
I think,
Any other questions? Chuck?
I'm curious about the participation rate you get with the K-12 administrator breakfast and the counselor breakfast. Is it pretty good response from them, or is it hit and miss?
For our K-12 administrator breakfast, I would say we get participation from probably a little over half of the schools that participate. They don't always send like a superintendent, but it's either a superintendent or a principal or an assistant principal. And that's one where the more we have it, and we're trying to figure out the right time for it, and we've had it in the summer. And we'll continue to evaluate that, but because we still want to increase that. Our counselor one has been pretty good.
Yeah, our counselor, we had 30 counselors registered this last year, so this was just this year was the second year we did it. Our first year, we had probably about half of our districts participate in the counselor breakfast, but we saw an increase.
Did all of them participate or not?
No, we had some school districts missing, but, hoping to have all of them
A significant
included.
increase over the
Yes.
prior year.
Correct.
Thank you.
So just a look forward into this coming year. K-12 is still one of our high priorities. And specifically, we have some activities within our strategic plan this year that are focused around K-12. And we are paying particular attention to that transition rate to try to increase, to continue to increase that. Several ways that we're doing this. This year, we're piloting some with a couple of different schools, individual degree pathway plans. So when we work with the students at the high schools, we'll be working with them on showing them kind of a visual and laying it out on, okay, if you take this dual credit, what degrees, and how do you get there? How does that fit into your degree plan and what you're thinking of? And really working with them on some of the career awareness and helping them figure out what they want to do. So that's one thing that we're doing. We are also increasing trying to increase the engagement with the K-12 faculty and staff, so specifically the counselors. And we have seen some increases this year, and we'll continue to focus on their engagement with us. And then finally, what you'll notice in there is that our transition rate of our students who take dual credit is significantly higher than the overall transition rate. So increasing the number of our students who take dual credit then will hopefully lead to an increase in our overall transition rate as well. So those are a few of the things that we're working on.
Good. Anything else?
I think Jackie and Mandy have done a really good job as well of trying to make sure that they're value-added meetings. Trying to make sure to maybe change some of the perceptions that maybe a counselor would have, talking about the new housing agreement, talking about nursing partnerships with UW Stevens Point, just trying to kind of maybe change some of the thinking that they've been a counselor for the last 5 years and maybe would say, gosh, I don't think there's a need for me to come. Well, we're trying to change that. Yes, there can be, but I think that the focus you can see is very intentional now, and they can build a relationship with that school district. So rather than maybe, if I use Craig, thinking, gosh, who comes to primarily from Mid-State, he knows it's Whitney. And I think that will help that relationship with the faculty, with the counselors, and with the students when they know it's going to be Whitney. So Whitney, you're here forever now. See, I called you out there. But I mean, I think that relationship piece is really big. We have a lot of opportunity here yet, though, and Mandy probably knows what I'm going to share. We were at a meeting last week, and I had a person in our community come, and I think I also talked with Jackie. They have a person, their child, who went to UW-Madison, and so they're in their first semester. And already we're how many weeks into the semester, and they're like, it's not working for that particular person. And the thought is they need to connect with Jackie to talk about, more options. Okay, we failed there. Maybe we didn't fail, but how can we prevent that from happening? Especially being so quickly to know that that's not maybe the place that they need to be. Could we have given him different information that would have geared him or her there? It's just things that continue to keep us going. What else can we do? And maybe nothing. Sometimes we're going to talk about parent perception, right? And maybe everybody wants to say they're going to UW-Madison. It's a great school. But really, talking to this parent, this was probably a person that their personality, they were going to struggle there. And I think maybe if there could have been a little bit more in-depth education, maybe that would have swayed this person. I don't know, Jackie, if you've met with this person yet, but
They're
I mean,
enrolled in our nursing assistant program. for
okay,
spring.
so there we go. Now, they could have probably did that CNA while they were in high school. I know they were initially talking about maybe radiology. I don't know if that's where they're still, but gosh, that makes us hungry to go, what more could we do? Because, that was a costly decision,
But realistically, seriously.
realistically, yes.
I've said for years, first of all, every person that they're in contact with at the high school level are
Yes.
college graduates.
That's true.
Every
That's
one
right.
of them. Guidance counselors are college graduates with master's degrees.
Yep,
Their orientation is toward the baccalaureate degree. And so if a kid has any inclination and decent grades, that's where the effort goes. And to change that, although I have heard great
We're
things about
changing.
Jackie and Amherst
Yes.
Friendship of late,
I think it's changing.
that's gonna be a pretty
It
hard
is.
sell.
It's not gonna
an
happen
easy-
overnight, but I do feel, I really do, Bob, that I think I think we're making some, I mean, it's gonna take a lot, hopefully 20 years from now, I'll say, gosh, it's really changed. I think just in the 20 years that I've been in education, it's changed. And I do feel like there are more parents, though, that are saying, talk to me more about this technical college system. And so I do think, though, if we can continue to hit those counselors and the high school instructors who wanna learn more about us, I think at least we're into the conversation now. And at least we know that if, they do make a different decision, who are they coming back to? They're coming back to us. So if we can just try to close that gap when they come to us first, and we'll continue to work hard at that. But I think the K through 12 team right now within our district, I really believe we are changing course a little bit. We're a younger, why we're putting a pool table in. Why are you, the Japan trip, we already have 12 students, they're full. And I think that was out the first week. So it's changing,
I think we
and
have moved the needle.
I do too.
In my 30 years. I think significantly. I was in I spoke in an adulting class at SPASH last week, back-to-back classes, and have been out of the classroom for a long time. When you go back to back, I forget what I say. But it was an opportunity to meet with a group of seniors on adult roles and responsibilities, and I had a show of hands, who's doing what next year? And the majority of them had an idea of what they're doing. And those that don't, I emphasize, if you don't know what you're doing next year, go to Mid-State.
Absolutely.
If you don't know what you're doing next year, go to Mid-State. That beats doing nothing. That beats taking a year off. Go to Mid-State. So I think we have moved the needle in terms of perception.
I do, and I think the more we can do with our transfer opportunities, and, we have 100 different articulation agreements, it's getting that word out, because if people know they can still go to UW-Madison, but they could start here.
The economics, I think.
I think that's coming
Well, that's a
more
good
out.
point, Rick, that is,
But
in this
it's-
day and
You can
age.
hit a lot of parents on,
Yeah.
on the
Right.
economics front of
And if they,
how much student debt do you want? the
Yeah.
kid to
They're
have?
paying more and more attention to that.
Yeah, I think so
Okay.
too. So I don't think we're totally there yet, but I think just a little bit we're, and I think when you have great people like Mandy and Jackie and Whitney and Morgan, I mean, they're so approachable. And the other big thing we've talked about is getting our students back in the high school. That person that just graduated a year ago, they need to go back with them. Because if they were on the wrestling team, or they were on the basketball or the DECA team, and they're like, wow, so-and-so chose Mid-State, that also, it's that awareness.
Yeah, it does. Oh, okay, no, it does. Thank you.
Excellent job.
We take about a 3-4 minute break here, folks, go to executive session. 5?
I make a motion that we,
Oh, we need a motion to go into executive session.
motion
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Robert Bieber.
Yes.
Kristen Pratt.
Yes.
Justin Harder.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
yes.
Thank you.
3-4 minutes, let's be ready to go, folks.